cooperation for success. And so once you break that trust, once you lose that confidence and the lack of goodwill, you make your work difficult to do. And that is a reality we are seeing today. And in addition to that, there's an angle we are seeing. There's a loss of fear of states. Citizens, significant number of citizens have lost not only confidence, but reverence or fear of state police. There have been many instances where in the midst of police or security officers, citizens act in defiance of law in the presence of security officers. This tells us a serious degeneration of state culture, community culture, or citizen culture regarding security of our country. And this collectively does not augur well for a country that is positioning itself as the most stable, most peaceful country in Africa. I think I would not want to go beyond this. Probably there would be some comments or questions that allows us to look at other various aspects of the security issues we're dealing with. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That's amazing. And before I proceed, I would like to read one comment each from our panelists. And Mr. Solomon said that security personnel needs more retooling in crowd control. And if you listen attentively, Mr. Muniru also mentioned, Mukhtar also mentioned something similar to that. And then Mr. Mukhtar said that security personnel abandon best practices in their response in Ejura. And that is very clear. Well, we all saw the videos and the pictures and everything. And I really enjoyed the presentation from all the speakers, including Madam Linda, how they have been able to broaden up the conversation, not to limit it to only the response of the security and the people, but to also connect the dots and intersect it in terms of the entire society. Madam Linda mentioned something very instructive that I would like us to pay attention to, the control of people's emotions and people's reactions to issues. Sometimes when people are faced with challenges and they're able to address them in the right way, sometimes that can also lead them to take certain decisions that will endanger the lives of the entire society. So I like the way they have been able to broaden the conversation and to bring in the disaster that occurred at Class Sports Stadium, to bring in the happenings in Wa, just so we all understand that security is not a separated kind of issue. It's our collective responsibility that we all have roles to play. And I'm very happy that a lot of young people have joined us on this call and they are following the precedents. And I hope that they are taking down notes and to ask the relevant questions during the Q&A session. So before we move to the Q&A session, I would like to move back to Mr. Solomon to take his remarks, 3 minutes remarks on the ministerial committee that has been set up to investigate the situation in Ejura, and what are some of the recommendations that he has for the committee.
Yes, thank you so much once again, and thank to Motaru for that detailed presentation there. And as he has earlier on mentioned, and as I've also mentioned, this isn't the first time we are seeing a commission of inquiry or whatever to investigate into matters of this nature. What we are, however, worried about is what will be the outcome. Is it going to be another white elephant exercise? As Muniru mentioned, what has happened to the Milsort Commission of Inquiry? The recommendations there were eventually thrown to the dogs, and then they choose and picked what they wanted. And a number of times that we have seen, nothing really happens. And so everything is swept under the carpet. The resources are going to be used, and we're waiting for finality of the case, and then it comes and we don't see the recommendation be implemented. And so there's that little faith that something reasonable or tangible or effective will come out of this. Though the panel itself is a solid one, having Professor Vladimir Chidanso on it, a high court judge, and another person also, a learned judge. So I think the composition in itself alone is rich. They are able to, they are equal to the task that they have been assigned to. However, the work that they will do at the end of the day, will it see the day of light? Will government actually put into practice? Will the government of the day actually utilize that particular report that is going to be generated at the end of the day? That is the big question. As I mentioned earlier on, we all have the about the noise made the brouhaha about the military invading the parliamentary chamber and all that. What has really happened up to date? Who has been sanctioned? Nobody. Again, even recent past, we've heard of, and then that is what I said. Based on that week of the little faith, the Parliamentary Select Committee on Defense and then that of Interior going to go and also do another inquiry. I think is again another user reviews things, see what is going to come out of this time around. But generally, I think the panel is solid. They have no problem, but implementation is the huge challenge that I have little faith on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We are so grateful. Mr. Mutaru, your thoughts on the ministerial committee and what are some of your recommendations to them?
Well, like I said earlier, the futility in this commission is in the example of the initial commission report. And I can tell you, I've looked at commissions and the reports, in the last several years. This one was the most comprehensive, with the highest level of quality and how realistic it was in dealing with the problems of our security sector. There were structural recommendations and there were personal liabilities involved. And this, everybody believed that would have been the best example and best opportunity for us to transform our security sector. And yet, this was not implemented. Not only was it discredited, it was dismissed almost entirely. And the reason this time around, it would be more difficult is that there are lives involved, there are fatalities involved here. So if anyone, any officials, will be found culpable, it would border, on deterrence or recommendations of the highest level in terms of, dealing with the challenge, dealing with the crime or the lapses that led to the death of these individuals. And that will be more difficult to handle or to met out, relative to what happened in Ayawaso Wagon issue. And so I have very little faith in the promise of this commission. So what should we do? We need to continue to speak up. We need to continue to speak up and speak to authorities involved in carrying out their duties as mandated by the Constitution. We need to hit at structures that limit and that inhibit our capacity to do the right things. We live in a democracy under the rule, the rule of law. And the rule of law says that people or governments and agencies, who are mandated to do their job must do so according to the laws of the land and not according to their own wishes. Like we saw the military deployed in Parliament. This was a near case of a coup, literally, because we were in transition with no government in place and no authority constitutionally was in charge of this country at the time. You deploy military in there to cause the kind of anxiety it caused, not only for the people in the chambers, but for the entire nation. And yet, no single person up to today has been held responsible for that. I do not think if people who could be slapped and brutalized by known security operatives, in the case of Ayawaso West Wagon situation, in the case of Jamestown, and several cases where we can actually identify individuals involved, and yet no any deterrence, was meted out to them, I have no doubt that we will have a repetition of that in the case of either Wa or Ejura. And that should worry all of us. We need to look at three issues. What is happening now? It is a governance challenge, it is a security challenge, and it is a political challenge. Why is it a governance challenge? We're looking at the genesis of many of these situations. Citizens that are, speaking and standing up in terms of raising their grievances. The young guy who was murdered, sadly, in Ejura was a citizen who was living out his rights and his obligations, speaking up on issues relating to development in his community, roads, infrastructure, education, healthcare, and things like that. Every true citizen has an obligation to raise development concerns so the development can reach them. If we have listening agencies or government that respond adequately to the needs of our societies, we would be able to manage these situations, so they do not rise beyond normal governance issues to security issues. And these are very, very common all over the country. We have situations all over where people in the exercise of that responsibility are confronted with challenges with people who probably have counter views. And these are serious issues we need to look at. It is a security problem because we do not employ best standards or best practices when we're dealing with security. Look, simple arrest situations in this country are characterized by violence. Simple arrest, inviting somebody to give a statement, to determine whether the person is a person of interest for prosecution or not. Just like that, they are characterized by violence. Cases that should not degenerate into violence, they do happen in this country. There are a lot of police complicity in crimes in this country, and we don't often hear anything about remedying the situations. And so these are security challenges that we need to look at. The average security or police officer is interested in how he can prosecute you for a crime than how he can help you comply with the law. So our attitude to security in terms of from law enforcement perspective is punitive, not corrective, not compliance. And that has to be looked at in terms of how we move forward in ensuring security in this country. If you're confronted with a police officer, either in traffic, you are driving or using, as a motorist, he is looking at what can he prosecute you for? What can you hold you for? So he can either, extort money from you or prosecute you. He's not looking at how can he help you comply with motor regulations, traffic regulations. And that attitude is key to reforming the sector in terms of security in this country. And I say this is also a security challenge, a political challenge, because it's the politicians and politics that make almost entirely the decisions that go into such operations. And if you go several steps up, you look at the structure of the Constitution. The Constitution makes provision that literally ensures that the Ghana Police Service, for instance, is a political creation in terms of composition of leadership. The Ghana Police Service is a political institution led by political decisions, essentially, in this forms. Why am I saying that? The Ghana Police Service is run and dictated to or directed to by the Police Council. And the Police Council is a political composition. The Police Council is chaired by the Vice President of the Republic. The Police Council has the Minister for Interior, who is a political appointee. It has the IGP, who is a political appointee. It has senior political, officers from the Ghana Police Service, who are often political appointees, and two other individuals who are appointed by the president, who is a political head. And by the Constitution, the Ghana Police Service is at the direction and control of the Ghana Police Council. how can you have a composition of this nature and expect their operations to be independent? And this is the reason why you have even an assemblyman or a youth activist who identifies with the ruling government. He is potentially more powerful than a police station commander, because he knows that the police is at the direction and control of politicians. If the minister or any leader in that capacity instructs the military or the police officers to go and engage in a particular any operation, they have no any liberty to refuse, because the constitution makes it so. Those who refuse can be victimized, and they often are victimized. And you heard the regional minister of Ashanti declaring that he ordered the military. On what basis? What intelligence informed that decision? So this the problem we are seeing, especially the problems that we are causing as military or security officers, that do not come with accountability. It is because of the political nature of these structures and how politics is involved in this. Beyond that, we have a significant number of officers in the police service who are not there on the basis of merit, but are there on the basis of political patronage. If you have that, how do you expect professional policing in a country like Ghana? And so these are things we've talked about, we've been calling for several years and decades, and yet we're not seeing the needed reforms in that sector. And it's important that if we truly need to have a reformed police culture in this country, to have, the best of policing or security in this country going forward, we need to look at the structures from the policy level to operational level to ensure that we have professional policing, for this country. I think these are my comments, probably longer than I had anticipated. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, it's fine. It's okay. And we have been able to discuss into detail the topic, and then we've also been able to broaden the conversation to rope in all the necessary parts of the conversation that we need to have. And it's very instructive to note that it's sad that sometimes we are not able to raise our voices to the level that we want, because come to look at the council composition that you spoke about, it is almost impossible to be able to hold somebody responsible when all these people are in the background giving the orders. At the end of the day, they set up committees again to investigate themselves. You don't expect something much from such investigations and from such committees. I would like to share with my audience that you concluded by saying that we have some of our police officers in the service, not on merit, but through political patronage. And let me just cross that over to what Mr. Solomon said. Mr. Solomon said that we have police officers who are there not to serve the country, but to skip unemployment. So that tells us that we have structural issues and systematic problems, that these problems need to be identified and to be tackled head on if indeed we want to have more improved policing in this country. And let us not forget that Mr. Mukhtar has identified the three challenges that we have as far as security is concerned. It's a governance challenge, it's a security challenge, and it is also a political challenge. These challenges, we all have to take them up and tackle them head on so that we can make the best out of this particular country. There's this statement that I learned from a friend in the USA, and she said that the world is yours. The world is yours. So once you own the world, you try as much as possible to make it the best for you yourself, because the world is yours. So when we are destroying Ghana, we should know that Ghana is ours. Whatever that we are doing, we should know how to do that. And something that gladdens my heart again, when I heard it, was that every security officer in Ghana is so concerned about how to prosecute you or what to prosecute you for, but not how to help you or to assist you to comply with the law. So it's funny, because I can remember yesterday, at a time, I met a police officer in the mall, and in my short interaction with the person was like, "Are you a teacher?" Then I said, "Yes, I'm a teacher." Then the next thing the police officer said was, That is why we always have problems between the teachers, because you claim that you know the law. So the police officer was trying as much as possible to fault me so that he can use that to kind of have his way through. But because I was trying to prove a little bit, he felt I was a threat or something like that. And so that's why they do have problems with teachers. Thank you so much, Mr. Mokhtar, Solomon, and Madam Linda, for your time. Before we go, I would like to open the chat for questions and answers. So if you have questions and answers, you please do that. We have some comments in the chat box. I would like to invite Ajay Samuel. Ajay, if you can hear me, can you kindly read some of the comments to our panelists and the audience? And Ajay Samuel is the Ashanti Regional Coordinator of ASFIT. Ajay Samuel, can you hear me? So if you have questions, you can please drop the questions. Ajay Samuel will be taking them. And then if you also wish to speak, you can raise your hand virtually and you'll be called to speak. Please do that so that we can quickly wrap up today's discussion. Thank you so much.
Okay, a quick one, please. It's to Mr. Motaro. I'll get your number from Issa behind the scene and then we'll link up.
All right, that's fine.
Sure, thank you. So yes, we have some hands raised. We have a hand raised by Adam Afuseni Mohammed. Adam, please, you can unmute yourself. You have the floor now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much, Issa. We are very thankful to you this evening for organizing this event. I think that we all have learned a lot from the discussions from the panelists. And also, I wish to also thank the panel members, as in the guests. I believe that all of them are well have been able to bring out Ejura issues in the country. I want to add something, just a quick one to what they said. I will want to tackle it from the perspective that the challenge that the country is facing now in security more or less has got to do with the youth. I believe that the youth has not played a very big role in ensuring that current government and previous government are responsible and accountable to the country security-wise. We have a situation where the youth are quick to either defend or justify issues of, how do I say, injustice meted out to the youth. You remember in Ejura, about 2 people were shot dead. These are youth in their mid-ages, 30, 25. And it will surprise you to know that some of our colleagues who are the youth were all over social media justifying it, and to the extent that, oh, it's normal, it happened in the previous, and so if it happens, there isn't any challenge with that. And so I think that if indeed we are saying that this is a country where we want to sway away, we need to sway from defending some of these things. Again, I think that the youth, we have also made governments country where the major political parties, that is NDC, MPP, boast of having the numbers. And if I'm not afraid, I would say these parties are almost 48%, leaving only 2% to the other parties. If it is NDC who is in power, they will be like, oh, even if the 48% are people who will speak against us for not being able to play our role very well, they know that they have another 48% who will come to support them who will come to justify what has happened. And I believe that if you continue this way, it wouldn't help the growth of the country. Again, when injustices are being unpunished, or let me say people commit crimes and go unpunished, then you see it motivates others to do more. Yesterday, what happened in Sunyani? When you see a football match that should have entertained us, that entertaining us, that should bring joy, becoming a situation of war and misunderstanding, and you see the youth in the streets burning things. I mean, how? How is this possible? And you see, it is because they feel that, well, at the end of the day, they will go unpunished. So they had that motivation, they had that inspiration to do it. So I believe that it's about time when issues of this comes up, government, it is not only setting up the committees. When the committees are being set up and they come out with their recommendations, at least make use of it. When you have His Eminence Justice Imenshaw coming out with a series of recommendations, and all government has to do was to just excuse my way, just to rubbish it and leaving the perpetrators to go unpunished, then I feel that it is not right for our country. So the youth who will be in existence, all being equal, all things being equal in the next 40, 30, 50 years, are people that should speak up. Because if we leave the issue to policymakers and government politicians who are 70 years, 60 years, and some are even 80 years, then I think that it will not help us as a youth. So my brother Isa and the team, I want to commend you once again for organizing this event. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This will be my comments.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Adam Mohamed Husseini. We are grateful. And Mr. Adam Mohamed Husseini said something very instructive, that when crimes are left unpunished, it motivates other people to commit more crimes. And this is something that is very worrying. We need to look at that. We have another hand raised, Rahina to Asmaila. Yes, you have the floor now. Kindly unmute yourself. Rahina too.
Okay, thank you very much. I would say that this session has been very, very informative, and all the speakers have really, they have really spoke to the issue. But what I would like to say as a young growing child, or as a young growing Ghanaian who grew up in a family that where we were taught to be kind of patriotic and to care and love for your country. When we see other people in like America, those kind of countries dying and caring for their country, we also wish we can do something that would, in a way, try to move our country forward in a way to bring about change, development. But this is a situation where we as young people have been, we have been boxed in every angle, because it has now become a political issue. It has become a government issue. Everything is now politics. So sometimes you as a young person, it becomes very difficult for you to do something, because anything you do is going to be targeted at. The next thing you know is your life, you are being threatened, and on social media you are being threatened, and it even goes physical. It becomes physical and very worrying. Even we see journalists being journalists who are supposed to be our mouthpiece. If I can't speak, journalists should be able to speak for me. But we see journalists being thrown here and there, being threatened and all that. And that's me as a young person, that kind of cripples me, or it kind of puts some kind of fear in me, because at the end of the day, I'm coming from a family that is still struggling to make ends meet and to survive. And if maybe I might even be the breadwinner of my family, what if I try to speak out and then I get killed, just like this man just got killed? so it has become like it's better to keep quiet and save your own life and live in the mess rather than try to talk and then be targeted at something like that. So to me, it is making even youth activism or young people like us who wants to speak to issue, it's making us scared because I don't want to lose my life in the all in the name of, you know, saying what is right and speaking up for my countries. We see other people in other countries who are commended for you know, for doing something in the name of their country. But in our country, when you are doing something that is in the name of the country, it is either you are targeting the ruling party, you are against the ruling party, and all these kind of things, and it makes things very very difficult. It makes young people like us worry too much. Even sometimes I know there are so many issues that I have in me. Even on social media, I don't write because I won't write and someone would go and be targeting me. Someone will go and be doing also those sort of things. So it's making the country still feel very, you know, some people like us might even think of if right now I should get an opportunity to go somewhere where I would do something and it will be recognized, I would, because I'm living in a country that does not want change and it does not want movement forward. So that alone is scaring us and all that. So I think as a country we need to sit we need to revisit our whatever it is. We need to go back and look into ourselves. It's not just about political parties. We have partitioned the country and it has become a political thing, and everything is politics, everything is politics. We are talking about moving Ghana forward. It's not just moving NDC forward or giving the credit to NDC, giving the credit to MPP. It's not, that is not the case. Who did this? We want to do something and attach it to who did this and who did that. That is not the case. It is about moving Ghana forward. So all our speakers have really spoken to the issue, and to me that is just my biggest problem. That's just my biggest worry as a person, as a young growing Ghanaian. That is my biggest issue, and I think we need to check that. We need to revisit, and people have been saying this over and over and over and over again, and we are seeing no change. So it is one, putting panic and fear in us and all that. So I would say that all the speakers have been very wonderful, and we just hope that things become better so that our country can also move forward, and you know, some change and development can also, I mean, happen in our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rahina, too. We do appreciate your time and also your comments with regards to the security situation. I think it's important for us to probably think about holding a civic space discussion for young people like you and I, so that we can bring in people and talk to them and let them understand our feelings, because young people should not be afraid to speak up. Young people at a point in time should not feel that I may get hurt, or I may get killed, or I may get, you know, young people need not, because there's nothing that will be changed when young people are not involved. I mean, in Ghana, we have 57 or more of young people in Ghana. So if this category of people all keep mute, if all this category of people do not involve themselves, how do we progress as a nation? I mean, that wouldn't augur well for us. So we need to have more of young youth voices. Let's move to Mr. Albert. But before that, I would humbly suggest that we kindly keep it brief, so that others can also have the chance to speak, and then we can end the session as soon as possible. By 4:20, we should be ending the session. So let's keep it very brief so that the others can be able to also make their voices heard. So let's hear from Mr. Albert Duno. Mr. Albert Duno is the Creatives Officer of ASFIT. We are glad that you've been able to join us and follow us all this while. Thank you, Mr. Albert. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. And I am also very grateful for all what I've learned so far from all those who have spoken. It is clear that the incidents that have occurred of late or recently are not, these things are not new. It's just a level of tension that have been building up from time to time until recently some was released. And I want to believe that not all the tension have been released. People still have some level of aggression within them that they will be releasing very soon. And the advice that I will give to all of us is we should tackle issues head on. Now, immediately things happen, let's try to make sure we give the people who are involved some level of comfort. To be frank, what happened, no matter the amount of delegation that has been sent of money that is used to compensate our system, which is not culpable or responsible for things that happen. As our former president, may he so rest in peace, J.J. Rawlings will always say, he wants a system that when you even put the devil up there, that system will make sure the devil doesn't be his. Military men or officers don't just stand up and do things. They take orders. So I believe so much that there are some people to hold responsible. And until these people are held responsible, these issues will never be solved. I will also blame all these incidents on what I will refer to as intelligence failure. We've decided not to gather enough intelligence, and when the intelligence resulted in all this, and as youths, let us not hide behind social media, thinking no one is seeing us, so we can say anything at all wherever we go. Sometimes we incite aggression amongst our colleagues. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Albedunu, for those insightful remarks. Thank you. We have the next, and that will be the final speaker for the Q&A session, Mr. Ajay Samuel. Mr. Ajay Samuel, you have the floor now. You kindly unmute yourself.
Hello. Yes, please, good afternoon to our team. Please, can you hear me? Okay. Like, for this very meeting, I'm quite appreciating how our facilitators or the speakers get us through and let us understand the side or the positive or the negative effects of this situation. But one thing is, I want to quote from Sir Winston Churchill. He once said, the price of greatness is responsibility. And to us as an association or as ASFIT, we understand that our sole aim is to build peace, is have peace builders around us. It's have peace builders around us. So in such a situation like this, individuals or members around such an area need to be well educated. As today, for some of us, we've been educated and now we understand the necessary needs and the stance for us to take in order to prevent nearby or future conflict. So now, like personally for me, I'm thinking maybe after this discussion, after this meeting, we should share it among ourselves so that some of the individuals or most of the individuals will get it and also understand the reasons behind such incidents and also the effects that cause to the nation. Once, like, all the speakers, anytime they will be speaking, they'll be keep mentioning about there is personal, maybe there is a personal disagreement or something that causes that. But the point is, we all blaming the government in power or the institutions in the military getting involved by one way or other. You all know that from the social media or from the view of other people, we understand that there was this military man trying to targeting a civilian, the one who is not the civilian, like trying to get a civilian head due to the actions they portray on them. Here it's time for us to also understand that the members in every community needs to get at least to be educated on how to behave towards such an institutions like the military or the personnel. Maybe someone do something to hurt you or something, but it's up to us for somehow understand, because peace is not only about living without conflict.
And other engagements, we are equally very grateful that you found time to join us today for today's discussion. I've just received the closing remarks of Mr. Solomon, and he's saying that it is a collective responsibility and all hands must be on deck. Security is a collective responsibility and all hands must be on deck. That is exciting to know, and that is educative as well. And I'm sure that we might have learned one or two things from this particular discussion. We hope to continue to have these discussions. In the course of the month, we are going to have a series of other webinar series, and we hope that you'll be able to find time to join us so that we can learn together and share ideas together. And I would like to thank, to especially mention Albert Dunu, who is the creative officer of ASFIT, and also thank Muniru Naziru, who is the blog writer of ASFIT. I would like to also thank Asma Rahina, who is still here with us, and she is the deputy Women's Affairs Coordinator of ASFIT. I would like to also thank Ajay Dankwa, who is the Greater Ashanti Regional Coordinator of ASFIT, Deborah, who is the Greater Accra Regional Coordinator of ASFIT, Matilda Natlin Marfo, who is the Women's Affairs Coordinator, and to all the team members, Mr. Solomon, Taina, and all the panelists who made time to join us for today's discussion. We are so grateful and we thank you so much for your time and for sharing those thoughts with us. We are grateful. And to all those who are joining us on Facebook, we say a very big thank you to you. Just to close today's session, African Students for Interfaith Tolerance, as it has already been introduced, is a youth-led peace-building organization in Ghana, and we are focused on building bridges across our various communities. And we are also trying as much as possible to provide youth empowerment training for youth so that they can be able to understand the various concepts, so that they can be able to kind of train. Please, I can't hear anymore. Hello, Hajara, I'm sure I'm audible now. Please, can anybody confirm if I'm audible? Please, can you unmute yourself to confirm if I'm audible? Okay. Rahina too, can you hear me? Albert, can you hear me? Okay, so please, I can hear you. Thank you so much. So I was saying that ASFIT is a
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thank you, thank you. I was kind of giving an introduction of ASFIT, and I was saying that African Students for Interfaith Tolerance is a registered non-governmental and non-profit youth-led organization working on conflict prevention, peace building, democratic governance, interfaith harmony, and youth empowerment. And we do that through advocacy and dialogue. And for the past few years, we have been able to organize a number of opportunities and programs for young people to build their skills and also to have a platform to amplify their voices. Just quite recently in this year, February, we organized an intergenerational dialogue, which involves the youth and religious leaders. And one interesting fact about that particular intergenerational dialogue was that it was more of women-led. We had a lot of young women joining that particular dialogue session, and I was so excited about that. So that is what ASFIT is all about. Let me say that we'll be ending the meeting, and thank you, thank you, thank you. We are so excited that you made time.